Good morning, my dear students, and welcome back to the second part of past tense. Today we will be dealing with the usages of past perfect tense and past perfect continuous tense. So we begin with the past perfect tense. What's the first usage given here? It is used to denote a finished action before a second point in the past. Once again, a finished action before a second point in the past. What does it mean? It means that there are two actions. Simple terms, the first action was completed before the second one started. So there are two actions that are happening. Let's make it clear with an example here. When we arrived, the film had started. There are two actions given here. One is when we arrived, second action, the film had started. So how do we understand it? We have used two tenses in this particular example. When we arrived is simple past tense. The film had started is past perfect tense. And why do we use the past perfect tense? We use the past perfect tense to denote the action that happened first. This particular example, what is the first action that happened? That is, the film had started. And we use a simple past tense to denote the action that happened second. We'll give you one more example. It had snowed in the night, so the bus did not come. What is the first action in this particular sentence? That is, it had snowed in the night. So we have used the past perfect tense. Second action is that the bus did not come. So we have used the simple past tense. I hope you have understood it. Come to the second usage of it. In conditional clauses. I think and I believe that you are already aware or you know what you mean by the term called conditional clauses. I have given two examples here. If I had known you were ill, had I known the doctor was here. These two examples are conditional clauses. The first sentence becomes a conditional clause because we have used a word called if, and thus we use the past perfect tense. If I had known. Second tense, it becomes a conditional clause because we have used the past perfect tense, that is, had I known the doctor was here. So this is second usage of a past perfect tense. Come to third usage of it. What is the third usage of a past perfect tense? That is, reference to the earlier past. Read it once again. Reference to the earlier past. What does it mean? From a certain point in the past, a person looks back on an earlier action. It means there must be two actions. To make it clear with an example here. I met my friend in 2005. I had met his father 5 years earlier. So what is a certain point in the past? That is, I met my friend in 2005. That is a certain point in the past. Now what is the earlier action? That is, I had met his father 5 years earlier. That is the earlier action. So there is a certain point in the past and there is an earlier action. Let's go to another example here. The complete complex was in chaos. Chaos means confusion. The police had demolished all the floors. Which is a certain point in the past, that is, the complex was in chaos, in confusion. What is the earlier action? The police had demolished all the floors. I think now you have understood it better. So those are the three uses of past perfect tense. Can you go through it once again? Go through the usages and understand it clearly. Now come to the last part of the past tense, that is past perfect continuous tense. Where do we use the past perfect continuous tense? Let's go to the first usage of it. Something that finished just before another event in the past. Go through once again. Something that finished just before another event in the past. What does it mean? Let's go through an example now. The pavement was set, it had been raining. The children had been playing and so the room was in mess. In these two examples, it had been raining and the children had been playing are the events in the past, something that happened in the past. It had been raining and the children had been playing. And what are the finished actions? The finished actions are the pavement was set and the room was in mess. So once again, the first example, the pavement was set is the finished action, and what is event that happened in the past? That it had been raining. Come to the second example, the finished action is the room was in mess. What is the event in the past? That is the children had been playing. So we are using the past perfect continuous tense. Now come to the second usage of past perfect continuous tense, that is to draw conclusions. Take the example that is given here. She looked tired. She had been studying the whole night. She looked tired. That is the statement. Now what conclusion do you arrive at? The conclusion that is arrived at is that she had been studying the whole night. To denote that particular conclusion, we have used the past perfect continuous tense. In this particular example, had been studying is a conclusion that is made based on the sentence she looked tired. So we have used past perfect continuous tense. Come to the second example. He looked fresh because he had been resting the whole night. He had been resting the whole night is the conclusion that you have arrived based on the sentence he looked fresh. So we have used the past perfect continuous tense. Now let's come to third usage of past perfect continuous tense, that is to show an action that was frequently repeated. Frequently means regularly repeated. Take the example. The teacher was angry because the students had not been doing their works for 3 days. In this particular example, the students had not been doing their works for 3 days is the action that was frequently repeated. It is not 1 day, it is not 2 days, it is 3 days. It is a frequently repeated action. So we are supposed to use the past perfect continuous tense. To make you understand it better, I have given another example here. She was annoyed because he had been phoning her every day. He had been phoning her every day is a frequently repeated action. So we have used the past perfect continuous tense. That's the end of the usages of past perfect continuous tense. So my dear students, we have completed the present tense and the past tense. As I always tell you, my dear students, it is not enough that you know how to make sentences in all these tenses. You must know when and where to use all the tenses that I have taught you now. Now we have got one more tense left, that is future tense. We will be dealing with the future tense in the coming classes. So my dear student, once again I request all of you to understand these notes very clearly.